Hello, 7th graders, and welcome to lesson 5.5, part 2. If you haven't watched part 1 yet, please make sure to go and watch part 1. We are talking about independent as well as dependent variables here today. So we were on to example 3. I just didn't have quite enough time in the other video to get through all of everything that I needed to talk to you about. So we extended into the next video. So here's what example 3 says. It says a student randomly guesses the answers for each of the multiple choice questions. What is the probability of answering all 3 questions correctly? So by the looks of this quiz, it looks like you're taking a social studies test. So Mr. Bo decides to give you a test here. And you look at these 3 questions and you go, oh man, I don't know any of them. So you want to know, though, what would be the odds, or how likely would it be that if you just guessed that you got all 3 of them right? So this is actually an independent variable question because it doesn't matter what you get on problem number 1 to get problem number 2 correct. Okay, same thing for problem number 3. Okay, you don't have to get 2 right to get 3 right. It's not a multi-step math problem here. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at each one, okay? So I can tell by looking at each problem there's an answer A, B, C, D, and E. That means 5 choices for each one, okay? So that means for problem number 1, you have 5 options. You remember your outcomes are on the bottom, and then whichever one's going to be correct. Well, only one of the answers is going to be correct, okay? 1 out of 5. So the same thing is going to happen for problem number 2. You have 5 options, only one of them is going to be correct. So each one of these is going to have a probability of 1/5 to get answered correctly. But you want to know how likely is it you get all 3 of them correct. So what we have to do then is we multiply all those probabilities together. So 1/5 times 1/5, because this would be for number 2, and 1/5 for number 3. So then I just multiply them all together. 1 times 1 times 1, 1. 5 times 5 is 25, times 5 is 125. So you have a 1 in 125th chance of getting all 3 of those correct if you just randomly guess. Odds aren't looking very good that you're going to get them all right. But individually, maybe you only didn't know the answer to number 1. So you have a 1/5 chance of getting it correct. Okay. Then on the opposite, you have a 1 or 4/5 chance of not getting it correct. Does anyone know all these answers? Last year, I believe we Googled them because, or I asked if you guys could answer all of these ones. I think the only one that got me was that Boston Tea Party. I didn't know when that one occurred. Put a comment in the below if you know the answers to all these and you want to tell us all. I bet Mr. Bo might give you some extra credit points. You'd have to ask him. All right, let's take a look at this and see if this one's a good question. So the students can eliminate choice A from all 3 questions. What is the probability of answering all 3 answers correctly? Compare the probability. Oh yeah, I think we can do this. So maybe Mr. Bo goes, you know what? I made a mistake. I put too many options there for you. It's really challenging. I'm going to tell you that from problems 1 through 3, A is not the answer. So you'd go back to your test and be like, okay, A is not the answer. So you're crossing off option A. So now what's your probability for each one of these events, and how likely is it that you get all 3 of them correct? Okay, why don't you go ahead and take the time to answer this. Come on back once you have your answer. Hey, code word. Your code word is calculator. Yeah, calculator. Pause the video. I'll be waiting. Click it. I know you can. Do it. Answer the problem. Alrighty, welcome on back. So when you get rid of choice A, then you are only left with 4 options for each problem. So then you have a probability of 1/4, because again, only one of them is going to be answered or is the correct answer, and you have 4 options. So every single question you have a 1/4 chance of getting it correct. But if you wanted to know what's the probability that you get all 3 of them correct in a row, is 1/4 times 1/4 times 1/4, which is a probability of 1/64. So the last part then, which I hadn't written yet, is compare the probability with the probability in example 3. So this is our new probability, 1/64. And the other one we had was 1 out of 1/25. Just by Mr. Bow or your social studies teacher telling you to eliminate one answer choice, look how much your chances of getting it correct changes. That's a lot. Especially if I change these to decimals. Let's go ahead and take a look. 1 out of 1/25. Okay, so if this is a decimal, let's change these to percents. So this becomes a decimal of 0.008. So if I want to change this to a percent, move it 2 to the right. So I've got 0.8% chance. That's a 0.8% chance that you can get it right when there's 5 answer choices. But if you go down to 4 answer choices, let's see, 1 out of 64. Did I do that right? No, okay. Let me double check my math again. I think I pressed them in the calculator wrong. Okay, that sounds right. 0.0156. We'll just do that. Move it 2 over, 1, 2. Okay, now you have a 1.56%. Still not great, but I mean, it's better than what it was before. So your likelihood, so the way you could kind of describe this or compare them is you can say that your likelihood of getting it correct increases when you remove the amount of options you have to pick from. All right, no closure. So your last part, we'll just talk about your homework, which is 15.5 here on Big Ideas Math. When is it due? It's due on the 24th, so that's Sunday on the 24th. Get it done. Okay, watch out then for tomorrow. Tomorrow, what you need to be doing is there's going to be a quiz on Big Ideas Math. Okay, make sure to get that one done tomorrow if you're following the schedule. So this will be Friday, the quiz. Okay, Friday what is that? Friday the 22nd. Okay, quiz will be up there for you to take. Okay, take your time on it. Should be relatively short. As always, let me know if you got questions, comments, or concerns. Email is the best way to reach me, but you can also use my Google Voice number, which you can find on the Distance Learning website. Okay? Have a great day. I will catch you next time.